The big cheese, the Gigonzala in New York's underworld. The big cheese, the rise of Gigonzala. In the heart of New York, deep in the back alleys where the sharp scent of cheddar mingled with the pungency of blue cheese, there was a figure known to all who dwelled in the shadowy corners of the dairy district. He was the big cheese, the Gigonzala, the most feared and respected cheese kingpin in the city. The Gigonzala wasn't just your average chunk of cheese. He was smooth, strong, and carried a reputation as sharp as a freshly grated Parmesan. Nobody crossed him and lived to tell the tale, at least, not without smelling like spoiled milk for the rest of their days. His empire was vast, ruling over the dairy shelves in every corner bodega and upscale grocery store in New York. Every block of mozzarella, every wheel of brie, every slice of Swiss paid tribute to the big cheese. Gigonzala wasn't always on top, though. He started out on the bottom shelf, a lowly wedge in the cold, dark corners of the city's biggest fridge in Vinny's Dairy, a small shop nestled on the corner of Gouda Street. But it wasn't long before he made his move. Rumor had it that his rise to power started one humid summer night when the Provolone brothers tried to cut him out of a deal with the cream cartel. The Gigonzala had warned them, "Don't try to melt me, fellas. I'm tougher than I look." But they didn't listen. That's when he made his move, swift and ruthless. By dawn, the Provolone brothers were gone, grated and shredded beyond recognition, their remains scattered across pizzas all over town. After that, the Gigonzala claimed the top shelf in the city's largest and most dangerous fridge, Vinny's walk-in cooler. It was cold, isolated, and dimly lit, but it was his kingdom. His loyal gang, the ricotta rollers, the sharp cheddars, and the Gouda goons, ensured that no one moved a single dairy product without his say-so. But power brought enemies. The National Bureau of Dairy had been after the Gigonzala for years. Led by Inspector Colby Jack, a sharp-eyed, by-the-book investigator with a grudge against the big cheese, they tried everything to take him down. Raids, stings, dairy audits, even secretly swapping out his imported Gouda with imitation stuff to throw him off balance. But Gigonzala always stayed one step ahead. One day, Colby Jack showed up at Vinny's Dairy, leaning against the door of the big fridge, arms crossed, his nose twitching from the cold. "I know you're in there, Gigonzala," he called out. "I know all about your cheese syndicate. You might be on the top shelf now, but I'm going to grate you down to nothing." A heavy silence filled the cold air inside the fridge. Then, from the shadows, the big cheese stepped forward, his shiny rind gleaming in the low light. "You talk big, Colby, but you ain't cutting through me," Gigonzala said, his voice as smooth as fresh ricotta. "You've been after me for years, and where's it got you? Still on the outside, looking in? But let me give you some advice. Sometimes you grate the wrong cheese, and it clogs the system." Colby Jack glared. "You can't stay on top forever, Gigonzala. One day, you're going to slip. And when you do, I'll be there. I'll grind you into shreds." The big cheese chuckled. "Maybe. But until then, you better watch yourself. I run this fridge. You're just a little wedge in the dairy aisle." And with that, the Gigonzala turned and disappeared back into the dark recesses of the cooler. The door swung shut, leaving Colby Jack outside, gritting his teeth. The war between the National Bureau of Dairy and the big cheese was far from over. But for now, Gigonzala remained on top, undefeated, unrated, and as smooth as ever. He was the big cheese, and in New York's dairy underworld, nobody ruled the fridge like he did. To be continued. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons to stay updated with more content. This content has been adapted from the powerful features of Polyspeaks for You, South Africa's leading accessibility software. Learn more at www.polyspeaks4u.co.za. We invite you to support this meaningful dyslexic initiative, crafted and developed by an individual who personally understands the challenges of dyslexia.